Hey Frame Fam, this is Framerated here. I know this is a little different because I'm using my voice, and typically I do not use my voice in any of my videos, so this is definitely a little change of pace here, but I wanted to make some new and interesting content when it comes to my benchmark and frame rate analysis videos involving consoles, at least for the time being, as those are a little boring to watch when it's just gameplay and frame rate, so I figure, we'll still include that. However, I'm going to implement my voice into these videos, and depending how well these videos do and how received that process is, I might expand it to my PC hardware, but as of right now, this is just going to stay on the console hardware. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in. So I took a moment here to test Destiny 2, and through my playthrough, I've noticed that this game, of course, it's capped at 30 frames per second in native 4K, understandable, but the general performance, I gotta say, for, it's 30 FPS, but it is very steady. Every once in a while, you'll get a frame dip into the 29, 28 range, mostly 29 though, from my experience. It'll even go above 30, hit 31 usually when VSync kind of disengages for a little bit, but you will see a lot of screen tearing as a result. You'll notice the little red check marks showing up on the graph here. Those all indicate screen tearing, and it's typically when it does dip to 29 or goes up to 31 frames per second, you have that VSync tear. That's the cause of all of that. Even in intense combat, this game is incredibly optimized. You'll notice here with dozens of enemies on screen and 2 other party members with me blasting away at these enemies, the frame rate is incredibly solid. I was very impressed when reviewing the footage on how solid it was. It felt solid while playing, but it's very hard to determine that unless you have the graph on screen that kind of gives you all of the information you need to determine that. Now when it comes to graphical settings, it is very similar to PC Ultra settings, minus a few things like anti-aliasing techniques and shadow quality, some draw distance pop in, some minor things. It makes it hard to tell, but 4K PC obviously is going to look a little bit better, but for a console game, this looks very, very well when it comes to quality. Like, it's very well done game. This game is incredibly optimized at 4K. Keep in mind the consoles this generation have incredibly weak processors. That includes the enhanced consoles such as the X and the PS4 Pro. So with that being said, I would have loved to see this game at native 4K 60 frames per second. That's just not going to happen though with the weak Jaguar processors. We're going to stay at a 30 frames per second for a game with this kind of visual fidelity. Now with a steady 30 frames per second in native 4K, although it looks great, and although there is no performance dips that is distracting like you would get with some certain titles, this game, I would have honestly maybe have preferred a lower resolution with a higher frame rate. But you gotta understand, again, back into the Jaguar core discussion, when it comes to the CPUs on even the enhanced consoles, even if we dial back the resolution, when those intense battle scenes start to happen on screen, we have dozen plus enemies, crazy firefights happening, couple people running around throwing grenades and bombs and just particle effects everywhere, you're gonna get frame drops either way. And when you have a 60 frame per second game dipping even into the low 50s, mid 40s, or horribly even lower than that, it is very distracting, and it can actually affect how well you perform in game unless you have some sort of FreeSync monitor or something that's able to work with a variable refresh rate. But most TVs do not do that. So as a result, I can see where they're going here, making it native 4K at 30 frames per second. And Bungie has always been used to 30 frame per second titles. If you go back to the Halo series, Halos 1 through 3 were 30 frames per second on the Xbox original, all the way up to the Xbox 360. Halo ODST was 30 frames per second. Halo Reach 30 frames per second. So their history is of 30 frames per second games. So they know how to optimize a good quality looking game with whatever hardware they're working with at 30 frames per second to try to keep it steady. So with that being said, I do really understand where they're coming from here, keeping it at 30 native 4K. Maybe we'll see with Destiny 3 or whatever it is that Bungie is working on. We might see a 60 frames per second 4K title, especially on the next generation PS5 and Project Scarlet consoles. I guess we'll have to hope to see. with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the new commentary addition to performance analysis on my console videos. Throughout the rest of this video, it's just going to be raw gameplay from what I've been able to retrieve for video footage. So I hope you enjoy it, and if you did, remember to smash the thumbs up button. It really helps me a lot, and engage with me in the comments so I know what I can do better next time. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.
Zahn won't be making any more scary new weapons for the Red Legion.
Oh, they'll have to use regular old weapons.
Those we can handle. Nice job.
Still haven't been able to track down Zahn. Cabal usually like to be found.
This guy's no ordinary space rhino. His weapons ain't half bad either.
Those weapons have snuffed out too many good people.
Oh, don't get me wrong. He'll still deserve whatever this fire team gives him. They always do.
The ship is still here.
Zahn moved in after you put Thumos down. Surprised he hasn't painted the place chartreuse to match his armor.
I'm sorry, painted it what now?
No.
Back into the ship we go. We're coming for you, Zahn.
He's got a lot to answer for. Be thorough.
No sign of Zahn. But that elevator's the only way forward. Forward and up.
Cabal made an elevator that goes forward? Man, they are inefficient.
One less tank to worry about, but we need to get up that elevator. Hawthorne, you're not going to believe this.
Wait, let me guess. Giant flamethrower.
No, but thanks for that image.